Hey guys, Walter Morelli, Real Estate Mentor. Today we're at Incognito in New Bedford. This is our real estate investor event. We're talking heavily today about two very important topics. One is Auctions.com, which is a tool for you to pick up real estate at a very inexpensive price. And the other one is wholesaling, how to find deals. We find that real estate agents are not exactly the best equipped for that, but we find that wholesalers seem to get deals that are off market, undervalued, and they're giving them out. So one thing is find a wholesaler. The other side is become a wholesaler. Become very good at finding deals. Does this sound something you'd be interested in learning today? Mm-hmm. Anybody here need more deals? Yes. All right, very cool. So before we get started, I like to ask the members who've been here for a while, people who've come to RIAs before, if you have a question or something that you want from the group, raise your hand now. I'll give you guys an opportunity to come up and talk. Who here has a question, a favor, something they're looking for, a deal they're hunting? Who do we have? If nobody's looking for anything, it means you got a lot more to learn about real estate. So I will start. I am looking to buy 6 families in Fall River in New Bedford. Anybody who has options to find a 6-family in Fall River, New Bedford, I do not buy 1-bedrooms, I do not buy studios. I always buy 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, anything like that. A mix of 2s and 3s is fine. If you can find them at $40,000 to $50,000 a unit, I will pay that every day of the week, all day long. Anybody else also want those? Yeah. All right. So it's a great opportunity to fill a room full of people who can hunt and find those deals. The other opportunity I'm going to present to you guys today is this business is for sale. Has anybody ever been here before? Incognito in New Bedford? All right. It's a good place, am I right? Yeah. The drinks are good. The service is great. And the atmosphere is cool. So Incognito is for sale. She's asking $350,000. The building is worth that alone, and then the business is here as well. It's a great opportunity. We're going to have Randall Pina. He's going to present it later on. Who here is going to stick around and be interested in that situation to learn about it? Anybody ever consider buying a business before? Excellent. So if you haven't considered it, businesses are one of the 3 pillars to wealth: stocks, business, and real estate. Who here knows that real estate's definitely one of the pillars of wealth? Yeah, is that why you guys are all here?
Sure.
Excellent. So Auctions.com, you guys ready to get going? All right, so this is Larry. Larry comes from Auctions.com. This is a website. Ron and I have bought properties off of similar websites. We go online, we click, and the property is purchased right online. Very smooth, seamless transaction. They've got a lot of free stuff, but I don't know if they have enough for everybody in the room. So the people in the front are probably in a better position to get the free stuff. Is that okay if people in the front get more stuff than people in the back? We all agree? Yes. That's fair and even? All right, without further ado, let's give a round of applause for Larry. Larry, come on up, brother. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. I'm used to working with some multimedia presentation materials, but I'm going to have to work off the cue card. So just a little bit about Auction.com. We are the largest online real estate company in the business. Not only do we represent banks and servicers on the live side, which would be the sales you would find at courthouses or various published locations, because I know here in Massachusetts it could be wherever it's published in some areas. So we are involved in the live side and also the REO side, which is a whole separate entity that many are really not familiar with per se. And when we do a property at a live auction, and then that property does not sell to the public, that property will then be reverted to the bank or the lender and servicer, and then the deed will be transferred over to them. Within due time of that, the properties that we have the agreements with these specialized banks and servicers will give us this property to put online to auction, just like you would buy stuff on an eBay auction. And they give you a window when these properties come up, and you have to jump on for the window time frame, and you'd be just bidding online just as you would for eBay. And there's some advantages really that some people enjoy and will only buy REOs. And the reason why they like the REO bank-owned properties is because the court process has already been disposed of. There's no more foreclosure process. No one is going to come back and commence the action again and try to get it back. So it's the bank's owned, and the bank is selling it to you. So when they do offer these properties at REO, there's some advantages. Many times you will get an empty house. And when you look online, you can see the insides of the property. As we're on the live side, you're doing drive-bys, comparables, and various other forms of due diligence to come up with a value that you feel the property's worth. So the REO really gets you a look inside in a lot of instances, an empty property, and the bank will be giving you title at their expense. When you buy on the live side, these things are all contingent upon you to take care of. So if you are interested in just bank-owned, Auction.com is the leader in the United States in offering bank-owned properties. And in a little while, when we have some time after the presentation, we can show all of you how to put the app that we have. That is a no-charge app that allows you to search in all 50 states and see live as well as REO auctions that are taking place. Now, many of the people, especially down in New York, where I spend most of my time, sales come on so fast and they cancel very, very rapidly. And one thing everyone loves about the Auction.com app is that you can see in real time if the sale is got a green light on it, which means definitely show up and have your checks and everything ready. It's a yellow, it will be highlighted in yellow, and that means it's probably going, still show up anyway, or if it's in red, don't bother doing your homework on it. And they love it because it's updated in real time. And they could also, if they don't feel like going to, let's say, New Bedford and they want to go up to Boston or maybe Braintree or Weymouth, they could search right on that app and say, okay, wow, there's one at 2 o'clock in Weymouth, I'm going to go over there. So it really is an excellent tool that's offered at no charge. For the investor, it's a great tool to have in your toolbox. And we could show you how to do that and get it all upon your devices, tablets, and things like that. So that's just basically what Auction.com is about. A lot of people want to know what it entails in getting a property into foreclosure. And being that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is a non-judicial state compared to where I come from, which is a judicial state, where an action could take 10 to 12 years, depending on county, to work its way through the system. And it's insane because the people living there, they're not paying a dime, the bank pays their taxes, and they're collecting rent until the final judgment toll hits, and then they go about it. So here in Massachusetts, it's much easier. There's no court involvement. So when the lender puts a person into default, usually they miss maybe a couple of months of payments at most. In New York, they tend to do it 6 months to a year. Here, it tends to be sometimes 6 months. And they will. The first step is they have to send out what's called a breach letter. You defaulted on your loan. You have a certain amount of time to cure the loan. In other words, pay this balance that's due and owing. If you do not cure the loan by such a date and time, then they will push forward and seek a complete amount due and owing on the property. So if the person does cure the loan, that's the end of the foreclosure. If the person ignores the letter and does not cure their loan, then the loan then becomes accelerated. And they send out an acceleration letter to the lenders, to the borrowers, and tell them that now the entire amount of the mortgage is due and owing, plus the interest and fees. And if it is not paid up by a certain time, this house is going to sale. And then by statute, the bank has to file certain papers with the land court to make sure that the mortgagors are not members of any branch of the armed services, because if they are, that's their defense, and that's the only defense you could have on a military service issue on any foreclosure in Massachusetts. So if they're not in the military, they can't interpose any further defenses on it, and the house goes to sale. And what the lender has to do is publish a notice in a general circulation newspaper. It's a three-week run, and you have to do it about 21 days before sale time in order to get this sale able to be brought forth to you folks. So they publish the notice of sale. The mortgagors are mailed by certified or registered mail a copy of the notice of sale that states that the bank that's foreclosing, a description of the property, and any pertinent mortgage section, block, and lot information. And that goes into the paper. You read the papers, you see that, and you come to the auction. After the auction is held, then it is your responsibility to record your deeds, land records, and then you have the right to clear out the property and get rid of any tenants, squatters, or whatever might be living there. So that's basically how the property comes from the bank to the live side and to where you come to the courthouse steps or wherever it's published and start raising your hands as the auctioneer starts crying them out. And like I said before, if no one raises their hand at that auction, and because maybe you felt the upset price was too high. Does everyone know what a bank's upset price is? Okay. When I'm going to use eBay as an analogy. When you bid on things on eBay, I guess a lot of people have anyone bid anything on eBay? Bid on eBay, you know, it works as a reserve price. Well, an upset and a reserve are one and the same thing. A bank could have two types of bids. An upset bid, which they could start at $1, and the bank's upset is $200,000. If you bid $200,001 or $1,000, depending what the increments are in the area where the sale takes place, you can get that property. You'll never ever get a property at a live sale for less than an upset price or a specified bid. And a specified bid is they start with one number. Beat it, and then that's it. Where the ranged upset bid, you could start at $1 and go for a while. So there are two types of bids. So maybe you felt that that particular asset did not make any sense value-wise in your minds, it was too expensive. Don't lose sight of them, because they will come back online. And when they do, the banks do not want to be landlords. They have enough trouble being a bank. The last thing they could do is manage thousands upon thousands of properties and hold on to them. They want to get rid of them and dispose of them. So they're, in many instances, very, very apt to make deals as the auctions are going online. If they see that it came close to the upset that they're looking for, they may just stop it after the activity stops and call the highest bidder and say, are you interested in this property? So don't lose sight because you think that the judgment and upset amounts were too high on the property. It's going to come back as an REO if no one bought it as a third party, and you'll have an excellent opportunity. And again, it may even wind up being a better opportunity on the REO side. So that's the basic operation of how something goes from default through a very simple system here in Massachusetts and comes into auction. So we're not involved in the live side in Massachusetts, but we are very involved with the REO property. So you are going to find more of the REO, great deals on REOs, more so through us than you'll find on the live side at present. We're working on that, and maybe in the very near future we'll be in Massachusetts conducting these live sales, and you'll see us there, and you probably do see us, some of us there from time to time. We're just trying to get information and things like that. So that is basically what we do and what we're all about. I very much appreciate that you gave us the time today to meet with all of you, and then, as I said, we'll be happy to, after everything is done, show you our app and how you can use that as an excellent tool to help you in putting together a plan and becoming a very successful real estate investor. So, one other thing in closing, if I may, whenever you're buying any properties that are on the live foreclosure side, you must, and I'm telling this straight out, you must do your diligence. And that requires a little bit of a different tact than what I'm used to, but since there is no judicial case, you need to go to your land records division and you need to look at the mortgage that was recorded, the deed, and see what might be there, see if there's another mortgage on the property that might be senior to the mortgage that's being foreclosed. Because if you buy a second mortgage and you did not do your diligence, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You're not getting the house. You just bought a second mortgage, a piece of paper. The only way you'll get the property is if you find out what the reinstatement and payoff is on that first mortgage and pay it off in its entirety, and then you can get the property. So it is so imperative upon everyone that buys on the live side to do the land record search, consult possibly your attorney that you use for closings, and if you have a title expert, I would consult with them as well, because you don't have a lot of judicial things to look at as you do in a judicial state where you have a court docket to look at, and you can see if certain things were filed on it, and you can tell right off the bat when they commence the action. In the summons, it'll say it's a subordinate mortgage. Well, in Massachusetts, it's going to require the visit to the land records. I guess some areas now may have it online for you to search, so if you have the section block and a lot of information, you can do it. So it is imperative that you do it. If you don't, it's like buying a used car, flatbedding at home, and then when you take it off the flatbed and go to start it, nothing happens. You open up the hood and there's no engine. You don't want to be in that situation. Those that do their diligence are the ones that are successful in buying on live foreclosures and on the REO side. Those that do not do their diligence, we call them one-hit wonders. We see them once, they may buy, we never see them again, because they bought a second, third mortgage, they bought a property they didn't look at, and they didn't realize there was 25 squatters living in it. You know, so you really, really must do your diligence, and that's what I really wanted to say in closing. So thank you very much for your time, everybody. Okay, well, I'd rather have everyone speak to us with their individual questions.
So afterwards, we're going to have questions for Larry. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Give him another round of applause. That was great information. We here learned something. Did anybody here take notes? I recorded it, so if you didn't take notes, don't worry.
We have stuff for you too. That
you can definitely. Yeah, I'm going to start giving stuff away, Larry. If that's okay. Is it okay if I give some free stuff away? All right. So before I ask the question, I asked a very specific question. Who here is looking for something? If I can get somebody up here and ask the group for a property, for money, for a labor or contract or something like that, you will get a free glass cleaner from Auctions.com. They only have a few of these, so this is like the one that I figure I'll give away. Who here now has something they want to ask the group for? Mario, come on up here. Give him a round of applause. Run up here, Mario. What do you want?
Well, I want right now is
what are you looking for?
Really,
right here at the camera. There's more people there than
Jack, how you doing?
There you
go. Structural engineer. I'm having an issue on 2 properties I'm looking at, and it's beyond my scope of engineering.
So you're looking for a structural engineer in what city are these projects?
One is Middleborough, and one is in Bridgewater.
Middleborough. Anybody here know a structural engineer? There she is. All right, can you connect with Mario in a little bit?
No, I'm not one, but I just used one for a property.
All right, Mario, get connected with her. Give Mario a round of applause, and I'll give you the free thing you want.
There you go.
Auctions.com. Thank you for the free stuff.
Right.
So I love free swag.
There you go.
So what was one of the things you guys just learned about Auctions.com? Let me see some hands. And if it helps with the hands, I'll give you a free hat for the person who comes up here and says something. What do you got? What'd you learn? Did we learn nothing just now? There we go. Josh, come on up here. Can I get Josh a hat?
Yes. Basically, the picture went to
Thank you.
no one bought it.
What'd you learn? What was the thing you
learned
learned?
that you need to pop the hood before you buy it, or else you won't come back.
Yeah. Pop the hood, guys. All right. What do you got?
I also have something I'm looking for as well too.
Come on now. All right. What are you looking for, Josh? Hold on. What are you looking for?
So what I'm looking for are any agents or realtors or investors that have cold leads. I have some marketing techniques to help reactivate them through some text message marketing. So I'm helping some people do that. And if you need some help doing that as well too, I can help. So come see me after the meeting or give me a call, 401-859-1168.
And I am one of those people he's helping reactivate leads. Let me tell you, it works. He's doing a phenomenal job for me, so thank you, Josh.
You bet, man.
Here's your hat. Where are the realtors in the room? Where are the realtors? Put the hands up high. There you go. And you also get a free pen. It comes with the package.
All right,
there you
good
go.
deal.
Give him a round of applause. Thank you, Josh, for coming up with us. And then, more importantly, want a deal, want a contractor, want labor. This is you got 5 more seconds to raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to start talking about other stuff. You guys are good? You guys getting something out of this so far? Yes? All right. Who here wants to learn about wholesaling? Who here wants to learn about getting all the deals? Who here doesn't want to learn about wholesaling? All right, so I'll just assume the hands that didn't go up are never going to go up. Is that a safe assumption? All right, very good. Happens in every crowd. So wholesaling, what is it? Who here knows what wholesaling is not? Who doesn't know? I want to see hands if you don't know what wholesaling is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everybody else in the room knows what wholesaling is? Yes. All right, so wholesaling, I'll explain it in context for people who haven't heard of it before. The concept is just like going to BJ's instead of going to Walmart, right? You go to Walmart, you're going to pay retail. Retail is what everybody else is paying. If you think of real estate, retail is MLS, is what our real estate agents are working with. It's all they have is MLS, right? That's shopping. It's not even shopping at Walmart. In this market, it's kind of like shopping at Nordstrom. Am I right? Yeah. It's a little more expensive than it was 2 years ago. Has anybody noticed that? The deals are not the way they were, right? And so we're finding that in order to get good deals, you kind of have to go to the off-market arena, which would be your BJ's. Now, it doesn't diminish necessarily the quality of the property, although in most cases it does. It does mean that the property is not exactly turnkey. Has anybody been to some of those properties before? Watched HGTV, seen some of those properties before? Yeah. Watched Hoarders.com, Hoarders episodes. They look like that sometimes. So they don't, and sometimes they look like This Old House. Who remembers that show? This Old House? Anybody? Yeah. There you go. Bob Vila, there he is. So the deals are deals for a reason. Make sense? And they're a little harder to find because they're not exactly in a store you can easily get them. Because if they were, the prices would be higher. And for example, you've seen maybe the banks now. Foreclosures are the same price as turnkey properties. Anybody else notice that? The stuff the bank's putting out there is $300,000. It's like, what do you mean? You own it. You're the bank. You're supposed to give it a discount. The banks don't do that anymore. They're realizing that they can put garbage in the market and the market just absorbs it because there's so many eyes on it, right? Eyes are our competition. Other people seeing it because it's very well marketed is a problem for the buying investor, right? We're all buyer investors. Everybody here wants to buy real estate. Is that safe to say? Mm-hmm. Anybody here not want to buy real estate? Because you can leave. You can leave now. The rest of us, we all want to buy real estate. I assume everybody in the room is, right? We're all buyers on some level, whether we've not done the deal, whether we're nervous to do a deal, whether we've done a few. The concept is we're always trying to buy. What is the one time that we want to put something on MLS? When we're looking to sell. When we're looking to get the higher price, right? We want to put it on MLS. We want to get a realtor, we want to get it online, market it to all the eyes, everybody who can see it. What wholesaling does is they get to the property before anybody else knows about it. And they identify a property where the seller is unique. And they're unique in a couple of certain very special ways that allow them to give us discounts. Anybody here know what those ways are? Take guesses. It's okay. It's for free. I'm not going to bite. If nobody knows, what do you got?
Motivation.
They have motivation. One of the keys is they're extremely motivated, right? If you had 30 days left to get out of your house because the bank was going to take it, are you motivated now to sell it at a discount? Even if you have lived there for 30 years, but you know that even though the house is paid off, right, the bank's going to take it anyway. So you have wiggle room to drop the price. Otherwise, you lose everything that you already built and worked for. Motivation can be identified in a couple of different ways. There's monetary motivation, there's time motivation, and then there's problem motivation, right? Labor motivation. Have you ever been in a house and seen, or owned a house and seen a project that you know should be done? Like there's a leaking roof, but it continues to leak for a long period of time because either you don't know how to do it or you don't have the money to do it. Anybody know somebody in that situation or been that person? And it's kind of embarrassing. None of us want to raise our hands, right? Maybe we know some landlords who are currently in that situation. Like, dude, just fix my damn roof, right? It happens, and those are opportunities that we can identify simply by communicating with them. We got to get there first, right? There's no way to tell if the person on the inside of that house is in a bad situation until you get into that house, right? Who here's done driving for dollars? Where's Josh? I know he's doing it today, right? Mike's doing it today. There you go. So driving for dollars. Anybody know what it is? doesn't know what it is, basically when you're driving through a neighborhood and you're looking for a decrepit house, right? You're looking for that one telltale sign that, hey, they're just not taking care of it, which means they probably can't, right? So we drive through neighborhoods and we're like, oh shit, they got a situation, let's help them out, right? Let's go help them out, let's get them out of this property, we'll fix the property and we'll make a ton of money on the other side, right? That's one solution to find a decrepit property, but for the most part, wholesalers don't operate that way. Driving for dollars, although very effective, it finds a decrepit property. It doesn't identify properties that are in good shape where somebody just has an issue with paying their mortgage. It doesn't identify properties that somebody has a high equity position and they really don't care about getting top dollar. They just want out tomorrow, right? So what wholesalers do is they build lists. And they build lists on websites like listsource.com. They build lists on datazap.com. What are some of the other ones? Where are my wholesalers at? Show me your hands. Where are the wholesalers? What are list sources? Where do you guys get some lists?
I'll call you.
That's true. All right. So I build lists for my team. We'll build our lists on MLS, and we'll pull data that way. And if anybody's interested in learning about wholesaling, I will talk a little bit about it later. We actually do a mastermind for wholesalers every Saturday. We all get together. We talk about our tips and tricks. It's something that I think is extremely valuable, not just for people looking to wholesale. I think it's valuable for people looking to invest. People who are real estate agents who don't know how to get the listings, right, Juan? Just get in the game now and you're like, well, where's all the deals? Craig, am I right? It's true. So wholesaling teaches you how to find properties. The intricacies of how you make money on it is controversial if you're in the real estate industry, but I think it's 100% legal. Everybody I know does it. I've done it. It makes perfect sense to do the contracts as long as you do it the right way. I got a great attorney in the room tonight. Mike, raise your hand. There he is. Everybody see him? Mike is a real estate attorney. If you have any legal questions later on tonight, he is the man to talk to. Does that make sense? Yeah? You guys already figure out you got to talk to him? All right. Mike, I apologize for the people that are coming over later with all the great questions and all the money you're going to make. I'm sorry. So the idea is you got to find it off market. You got to build a list. If you have issues building a list, come Saturday 10 a.m. at my office in Fall River. We will help you build a list. If you know the city you want to work in, we'll help build it for you. In many cases, we'll teach you how to work the list yourself. And we have programs and tools that we work with our team, with our wholesalers. Because at the end of the day, we want first access to the deal. We're ready to buy, right? The other side of finding a deal is you got to find a seller. Find somebody to sell the deal to. One of the reasons you wholesale, quick cash, right? You got to make money quick. You want a little buck here and there. You want your $15,000 or $20,000, and you want to get in and out, and you don't want to take on the project itself. Ron and I will do the same thing. If we don't want to take on a project, so we've got too many we're working right now, we'll just wholesale it. It's a way for us to still make money, pass it on to another investor. We leave meat on the bone so they'll make money, and that's one of the tools that creates flow within the industry. That's why everybody in this room is valuable. At some point, we may be a big buyer, we're constantly buying, but at some point we may cap out. And we may say, hey, you know what, this I just financially can't do it right now. Mentally, I don't want to take another deal on right now. Here's something I don't want to do, but I know it's your area. All right, so everybody here is signed in the list in the back. We got your emails, we got your phone numbers. So what I'm going to do at some point within the next couple of days is send out an email. I'm going to ask you, what are you looking for? So we're going to build a database. This way, as we're producing these lists and where our wholesalers are bringing us deals, we'll be able to provide that to you. Is that cool? We offer that service?
Yes, sir.
Is it cool that that's a free service? I thought so too. Where was this when I started, right? So one of the other cool things about wholesaling is you've got a list now. You got it from ListSource. ListSource has an issue. They don't give you the phone numbers. Has anybody done mailers before? Mailers in the room. What do they typically cost per mailer?
A lot.
It's a lot. What is something you've paid?
I mean, 30 to 70 cents.
30 to 70 cents a mailer. That's about average. What is it? What you got?
We're doing yellow letters, $1.25.
Yellow letters are more expensive, yes. But they're a better quality mailer. And we like to mix them in with postcards, yellow letters. So we average somewhere around 70 cents per mailer when we average over the 6 mailers we're doing. Although mailers are expensive, they are also extremely effective. They're one of the fastest ways to get a response because you're getting mail in their house. Now the first mailer is a throwaway. Does anybody know that? The first mailer is literally, yeah, okay, whatever. It's not until the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th mailer that people start saying, wow, this person's serious. They really want to buy my house, right? Who here's done 6 mailers to the same property? Mario, and you've had success with that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Most wholesalers, most real estate agents, most investors stop at 2. Most of them stop at 1, I'll be honest. But then if they send out the second one, they stop at 2. And the problem is 2 things. 1, they're either not committed to their success, which I find is very common. And who here in this room is committed to their success? We'll see. We will see, right? It's true. It's a little challenge to the people who I know can do it. And for the people who know they won't, well, at least we're being honest, right? So the 6th mailer is where the money is. In order to get to that point, sometimes you have to shrink your list a little bit, right? It costs, if you're going to send out 200 mailers and you know they're 50 cents a mailer, it's going to cost you $100. If you're sending out 2,000 mailers, it's going to cost you $1,000. So a lot of times investors get in, they say, oh, I'm getting the biggest list, but then they can't perform on the list. Anybody here had that experience? Lack of performance? Maybe had performance issues? I don't know why my hand's up. Look, we're all here together, right? We've had experiences where maybe we committed to things. Our eyes were a little too big. We're like, I got this. Got into it and realized we were in too deep. Anybody have that issue? Yeah. Anybody have that issue right now? It's okay. You don't have to put your hands up to that one. But it happens. So what I've found is that a very tight, specific list is far more powerful than a broad list that isn't exactly what you want. And this comes from personal experience. When I started, I grabbed a Bristol County list of 8,000 numbers, and I was like, let's go, and spent $6,000 on my first month of marketing this list. Not just in mailers, but it was emails, it was texts, it was phone calls, and ringless voicemail drops. And it was $6,000 I spent. And the return on investment was not that great because it was only one time. And I didn't know back then that I had to hit this so many times. Now I'll hit a list of 500, and I can hit that list with a tenacity that you can't if you're spreading your marketing dollars so far, right? I'll hit them on Facebook, I'll hit them on YouTube, I'll hit them on Instagram, I'm hitting them in their mail, I'm hitting their email, I'm in their voicemail constantly, I'm texting them, and my agents are calling them constantly. So there's this aggression where they call back quickly. After 10 days of pain, they're like, yeah, just stop. And then we don't. And then they're like, why don't you just come in so you'll stop? And then we show up. You can't make the deal from your house. Who here's heard of virtual wholesaling? It's hot, right? Everybody wants to virtual wholesale right now because they're told that they can do a deal over the phone. I have never, ever successfully signed and closed a deal over the phone. You can't get enough information out of a person. You can't figure out what their life issues are over the phone. You can't see the property that way. And the deals that you'll do will be far and few between. When you focus and you really build deep relationships, figure out what your market looks like, you can go far deeper in and more likely find multiple deals. Just from smaller campaigns run much tighter. You guys ever heard of Jack of all trades, master of none?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? It's like a mantra in the real estate market, the real estate industry. All the agents, they think, oh, I do condos, I do this market, I do that market, I'll sell Rhode Island, I'll sell Massachusetts, I sell Connecticut, I do multifamily, sure, commercial, but they'll do no deals because they're too all over the place. They're not specialized. They're not spending enough time mastering one thing. And my team, all we do is multifamilies, right? Who would you go to work with on multifamilies if it was a normal agent, or as an agent who said, all I do all day is sell multifamilies. I do the numbers all day. That's all we do, right? We know the numbers in and out. We own multifamilies. This is, we have all the connects. We're connected with the money, right? Who would you work with? It's the same with you as investors. Find one type of property you work with and work with that one type of property. Find one neighborhood you work with and work that one neighborhood. You get way deeper into it. If you're doing flips, does anybody know what the ideal flip is? I hope I'm giving you guys a ton of new information tonight. It seems like I don't see enough hands. All right, the ideal flip is always a 3-bed, 2-bath. Every market across the country, 3-bed, 2-bath wins every single time, except for a few unique markets. But for the most part, a 3-bed, 2-bath is what everybody wants. And if you're in the 250 price range, you're going to sell it no matter what market you're in, right? If you put a house for $250, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath turnkey, you're going to sell it, right? Boston too, right? I mean, how can you make money at $250 in Boston? But the idea is that market never, ever, ever, ever goes away. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're picking your niche, so for me, I don't flip single families. I find that they're too risky, right? If I'm going to do a flip, I want something that when the market turns, I can hold, right? So if I like scale. Who here likes scale? Let me define scale. You can retire with scale. So who here likes scale now? The idea of lots of money without doing anything? I mean, you got to make a couple phone calls. You got to make sure your network is still running. But scale means you can do other things, and as you get bigger doing the same one thing, more and more income is coming in. You're helping more and more people. So scale is powerful. If I go and do 10 single-family flips all in one shot, right? I'm wholesaling. I'm focusing on single families. That's all I do, and I start buying rentals of single families. My cash flow is low. My risk is extremely high. During the renovation, I have carrying costs I've got to pay. So if something goes wrong, market turns, and I got 10 buildings I can't sell, what does my situation look like? Kevin, what does it look like?
Bad news.
Bad news.
Bleak.
Right? I'm out of business. There's a lot of investors are going to get kicked out of the business because they got comfortable. They saw, hey, everything I do makes money, not too worried about what's going to happen, and they're just going after singles. They're doing what's safe, what's not safe, but what makes the most. It's the easiest thing. If everybody's going after the same thing and the market turns, what happens? Yeah. Well, we'll go and clean up. Yeah, absolutely. We'll pick up those properties at that point. But a lot of people are going to lose. Right? The more people are doing the same thing, the less valuable that one thing becomes. And so you want to spread it and you want to diversify a little bit. What Ron and I discovered a little while back was if we do multifamily flips, if we're buying 3 families and we're renovating the top 2 floors, we put a tenant in, suddenly we're cash flowing. We're breaking even. Our carrying costs are non-existent, and we're working on that bottom unit, making it a little nicer for the homeowner. And now we have the opportunity to rent it, sell it. We're in no rush to get rid of it. We can outlast the market. We can carry 10 of these at one time. And if the market turns, we got 10 rentals. There's $10,000 a month coming in. Whereas if the market turns on 10 single families, there's $10,000 a month going out. Right? The other side to picking your niche and knowing where you want to work is knowing the cities. Understanding what cities make the most sense. If I said everybody go wholesale in Dorchester right now, would that be a great idea if the average 3 families, say we have 3 families, is 600,000? Would that be a nice, safe deal for you to work on? It's risky. It's a risky business because everybody else is up there. You want to go where everybody else is not. You got to find opportunity where nobody else sees opportunity, right? Right now we're in New Bedford. This city has over 3,000 3-families. I have 2,000 3-families, right? Off market. Nobody knows that they're for sale because the sellers don't even know that they're for sale. Yet. Right? Until one of you calls and says, hey, by the way, I got an investor who's looking to buy your property, or the mailer comes in, or the email comes in, the text comes in, they see you on Facebook, we buy your house, right? That is how it starts. Knowing that there's 6,002 families in New Bedford. It makes it a little bit easier than going to another market. And the 2 families here are $220,000 average. So you imagine a good deal is much lower, right? But the rents are averaging at a 2. They're averaging between $800 and $1,000 a month. You can cash flow those things all day. The 3s are even better. Fall River has 3,000 3-families. 600 6-families off market. What's up, Randy?
What's up, Randy?
So there's cities that have opportunity that are still affordable. Average sales price in Fall River right now on a 3-family is in the $310 mark. Worcester is in the $340 mark. 3 families in New Bedford are in the $280 mark. In Attleboro, they're around the $320 mark. Brockton, they're up in 500s. So you start seeing, okay, like these are cities that I'm not naming the luxury cities. Anybody notice that? I'm not naming the city that people are like, I want to move there. I'm naming the cities that have opportunity. All right? Every investor out there is trying to flip a city or a town that has single families, 3-bed, 2-bath, that doesn't really have a large population, but it has people who want to move into it when times are good. When times are bad, where do people move? Rentals. Right. do you want to be holding when times are bad? Rentals. I agree. So if we were going to be wholesaling, say we were going to create, each one of you is going to create a lead source, a lead generation program, a way for leads to come to you. And you're going to make it a wholesaling business under that premise that if you couldn't take the lead for yourself, you pass it along to somebody else. What type of property would you find would be most beneficial? Say every deal that comes through, if it works out, you would own it. All right? Let me see some hands. What kind of properties do you think would be ideal for you? Go ahead.
That's right, I was thinking of something else, so that's right.
Oh, girl.
That's okay.
Okay. What else? Who here? Yes, go ahead. What is it? Multifamilies. I agree with you. Do you know what Boston's buying right now in Fall River and New Bedford? They're not buying single families. You know what they're paying for multifamilies right now in Fall River and New Bedford? More than everybody else. Right? Who here's from Boston? Elvis, you're close, right?
From New York.
New York. All right. Boston, right? What is the average sales price in Hyde Park for a 3-family?
6 to 650 plus.
6 to 650 plus. So these, what were they buying those at 5 years ago?
Probably 4.
4. So everybody in Hyde Park who bought a 3-family, who is somewhat of an investor, kind of realized that they made money on this 5 years ago, has $200,000 in their pockets right now. $200,000 burning a hole in their pocket. They've been on bigger pockets at this point, right? They've been on bigger pockets. They're like, what do I do with it? I'm not putting it in the stock market because that's not how I got it originally, right? They got it through real estate, so they're thinking, where's the next deal I'm going to buy? This was an up-and-coming city, but it doesn't work now. Where does it work? And so they're hunting. They're looking for the place that some of us call home. Some of us work here every day. Who here's from New Bedford? Why New Bedford peeps? Who here's from Fall River? Attleboro? Wow, Attleboro's not represented. All right, Attleboro, we got you. Who here's from Taunton? All right, Brockton. There she is. All right, Brockton, there you go. These are cities that Boston's coming down to invest in. Brockton's almost out of the game right now, but come down a little bit further down 24, and people are starting to shop down here. They're overpaying. So if you know there's a big market of people who want to overpay for multifamilies, and everybody else flipping and wholesaling is doing singles, but you're aware that Boston pays the most because they got the most, right? They accidentally won some money just by doing what you guys did a little while ago, and now they're looking to spend it, they're looking to invest it, they're coming down here. I beg the question, what is the most intelligent thing to buy? Now here's the deal, they didn't buy 6 families in Boston. They didn't, because they don't exist, right? Anything that's a 6 has been condoized. So what they buy is 3 families, and they're comfortable with 3 families. They've only ever managed 2 tenants. So what they typically will invest in is a 3-family. They're afraid of the 6s. Now a few of my friends have come down and they bought 18 units all at once, but they're aggressive. They're very investor friendly. They've been doing it for a long time. Most of them, Matt works a lot of my investors, most of them are looking to buy a 3-family, right?
Many of them, yes, sir.
They're looking to rotate their 3-family income to another 3-family income. A lot of them are refinancing their houses, keeping those properties, just bringing some of the cash down this way. Right, Elvis, you have property in New York.
In New York.
You're looking to do the same thing. Shift it to where it makes more sense to buy property.
It's coming this way.
So
See?
why 6 family and not like, I don't know.
Go ahead.
6 family bothers me because then I have to sell it if I'm going to sell it to an investor. But a 4 family doesn't bother me as much because maybe it's not being an investor. It's just more open to non-investor as well as investor. I don't know. That's just
Correct.
my thought.
Correct. So what she's saying, for anybody who couldn't hear it because the mic's pointed this way, what she's saying is that I'm nervous to buy a 6-family because the resale on a 6-family is different from a resale on a 3 or a 4. 3 and a 4 is sold to just about anybody. You don't have to be an intelligent investor, which means you'll overpay. Whereas on a 6-family, investors typically do not overpay, right? Matt, what is the average sales price of a 6-family right now in Fall River?
6-family?
Yeah.
Those go in the mid-4s.
425, 450, right?
Yeah.
Who here would pay 450 for a 6-family? Would you? Oh, I like to pay 3, right? So they're still selling. Investors are still selling their 6s at inflated rates.
Okay.
Because they've done, commercial's different. You raise the value of the property by going and turning it. You go and put tenants in there, improve the building, it goes by its cash flow. So commercial is
So it's
actually,
okay to do that.
yeah, commercial just works by the numbers. You just add value, you sell for value, right? But I will say,
That makes sense.
doesn't make sense to flip 6s, right?
No.
They're meant for cash flow.
Right.
You eventually you don't really want to be flipping. Eventually you just want to be holding, right? So to build your business, what I found works is you buy 3 families. You wholesale 3 families. I want to buy 3 families, all right? So wholesale to me until you get the capital and the intelligence, the knowledge and network to go and buy your own. And then as you're buying your own and the market improves or the market goes down, it doesn't matter, it cash flows. When you have the opportunity to buy bigger buildings, you buy bigger buildings at that time. You switch your wholesale marketing to bigger buildings. But for the next 2 to 3 years, you're probably going to be in a space of 3 families. That's safe to say? Mm-hmm. So even if you're wholesaling, say you're a typical wholesaler, you start with single families, but then you get to the point where you have money, and now you want multifamilies, you've got to change all of your marketing. Whereas if you are already wholesaling to what the real investors with real money have, right, want, is 3 families, and then you decide you became an investor with real money, ready to do deals, and you just, you start buying the things that you were marketing to in the first place. All right, is it okay to become a professional in multifamilies? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's worked for me.
So you're saying flip 3 families and hold 6 families more so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I say buy 3 families.
Mm-hmm.
Buy whatever you can, wherever you can, as long as the cash flows. The numbers work very well on 3s right now. They work well on 4s. They work way better on 6s. But if you're in a capital poor situation, you can still wholesale 6 families. I'll buy 6 families all day. I'll pay very well for them, right? You get a 6 family for $220, I'll still pay 3. I don't care what you make on that. Does that make sense? The idea is I just want 6 families. Just bring them to me, I'll go and I'll buy them and I'll make money off of it. So you can wholesale whatever it is you eventually want to buy. It really is about your scale. The thing with the 6s is there's just less of them. There's significantly less of them. Remember the numbers I was talking about, there's 600 in Fall River, there's 400 in New Bedford of 6s, whereas with the 3 families combined between the 2 cities, there's 5,000. So it's just a numbers game. If there's more sellers who are in a situation ready to sell. Does that make sense? All right. So once we get our list, we've identified the type of property. Well, first we identify the city, we identify the type of property, then we build a list, then we start cold calling. It's the cheapest thing that you can possibly do.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
About lists. Now, buying them from whatever the sources you're talking about, then
Yep.
so many people are buying them.
Yep.
So my question is do you actually create your own lists so that you're more successful, or do you actually buy lists off of companies that sell lists?
So the question is, do I buy my own lists and build them myself using MLS and my own resources, or do I buy lists off of other companies? Because every other investor is buying them from those companies,
Exactly.
right? So here's the simple answer. There's no investor who's going to outwork me. There's no investor who's going to go the full 6 times. No investor who's going to make the calls. No investor going to send their team out and door knock. There's no investor who's going to do the text messages, emails, Facebook marketing. There's nobody going to outwork me, right? So I really don't care what list I'm pulling. There's no competition. But I will say I work both because I don't like to miss anything. I want all the deals, right? I want all the situation happening for us. I just don't leave my target market. I work in New Bedford. I work in Fall River. I'm a specialist, and I work in these cities, so when a deal comes across, I can look at it and say yes or no. There's no questions about it, right? Anybody who's sent me deals before? Who has sent me a deal? Matt, you've sent me deals. I tell you within seconds. Yep. No, get it at this price, and I'll talk about it. Right? It's very quick. Go ahead, Josh.
Walter, would you say that it can actually be to your advantage if other people are marketing? Because that those touches that you make, the 6 touches that you make, if you kind of piggyback on somebody, you might get 4 from someone else. You come in at 5, and that can be to your advantage. So competition can actually be.
Absolutely. I love a worked list because they're thinking about selling at this point. They've been bothered by people. They've been told that they want to buy your house, and I could be the one that they're like, you know what, just come in. I'm sick of you guys calling me. Oh, that's my first call. Holy shit. I love a hot list. I love a list that's been worked, right? Because they've already been told, you should sell. I make the phone call, they bring me in. It's perfect. All right, that's excellent. They've already done the work for me. Now on the other side of it, is somebody else going to get a deal like that? Sure. If they're consistent, if they're hitting them constantly, maybe the luck will work in their favor too. That's okay. It's a numbers game. I know that if we're calling on 1,000 people, we're getting 10 deals. It's not a question. 1,000 people, 10 deals per year. Because next year, that same 1,000 people have thought about it. And that same list could be an opportunity.
I have
Yep.
one more question.
Okay.
So the problem that's holding me back a little bit is that I hold a real estate license. So so I worry about mailing, making a deal, and I have to disclose that I'm a real estate agent, which fine, I'll disclose it. But is he going to come back and slap me in the face where legally these people are going to say, well, she took advantage of me, kind of thing?
Well, I would just say don't take advantage of anybody. So her question, to answer her question, is she says, I'm a licensed real estate agent. Me too, right?
So
I'm a licensed real estate agent, run a team of 25 agents.
Okay.
My agents go out there, they put these offers in, right? Matt's my team leader. We send him out. He's going to go and put an offer in for us first, and he's going to list if it makes sense, right? So one of the questions I get from people who are thinking about getting a license, and they'll say, oh, I don't know if I should if I'm going to wholesale. Like, if you're going to wholesale, you really should, because you're going to go on these wholesale appointments, and only 1 out of 10 will be a deal. But
throw something on top of that.
Yeah.
I've had my real estate license for
Never been an issue.
years.
Yeah.
What's that?
Right.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is all the new guys, like I'm trying to build a team in other cities, like you said, you have to be on the ground to see the deals. I've tried virtual, it doesn't really work.
Right.
But what I'm throwing on top of our question is I suggest all the newbies get their license because they ask me the craziest questions. How do I price up the comps on it and like show it like the dumbest things? You're like, you know, I'm thinking as a real estate agent, like, dude, you're trying to sell a property, you know,
Right.
So I understand they're trying to get in the game with us. I suggest if you're wholesaling, you should go get licensed in those states because you're going to get access to the MLS that's local there.
Correct. That's
You're gonna get
why I
that
got my license, but I don't want there to be any
The deal is
legal.
going to be a win.
Mine is more of a legal, you know, whatever, worrying about somebody coming after me because I took advantage of them.
Right.
You know, if you mail them 6 times or harass, you know, they can
Yep.
call it harassment, they can call it whatever they want to call it, you know. I'm just
So
saying.
what Randy's saying is get your license. I agree with Randy, get your license.
Right.
What she is questioning is what most brokers will question. They'll say, oh, what you're doing is illegal, because they don't know. They just don't know. As long as you go in and you say, hey, I'm a licensed agent, as long as your purchase and sale says licensed agent, you're covered. There's nothing that you've done
It's
wrong.
just a bad stigma because it's competition.
Right. And a lot of real estate agents don't like the wholesalers are out there making more money than them on a deal, which is okay, right? Is it okay that we make more money than real estate agents sometimes? Yeah. Is it okay that we're servicing our clients a little better than a real estate agent sometimes? Yeah. On the other side of it, as a wholesaler, you can't always service your client all the way, right? Where are my listing agents again? Yeah. You can't always service the client as a wholesaler because they need to put it on the market, right? And they have to put it on the market because they want a higher price than the wholesalers willing to give, that the investors willing to give. So out of every 10 appointments, 3 or 4 of those will actually turn to listings. That's income. It's also marketing to bring in more buyers. It's also marketing to bring in more sellers further down the street who have signs in the yards. So just because this person had to sell a top dollar doesn't mean their neighbor isn't in a desperate situation, calls your sign, and is willing to sell at a discount, right? So the more marketing you have, real estate agents, it's the loudest business you could get in real estate, right? We're flashy, we're putting signs in the ground. It's constant marketing. Our whole job is marketing, right? We're agents in the room. What do we teach? It's marketing, right? That's our job. So I would say yes, get your license, and just understand that every time I go into a seller appointment, I say, look, this is the price I want to pay as an investor. I'm also letting you know I'm a licensed real estate agent. So if you don't like this price, I can put it on the market for you. That's how I work.
Then you gave him an option, and then therefore you're protected because
Yeah.
you gave him 2 options.
And I'll
Yes.
tell them exactly what I'll put on the market for. It'll take 3 to 6 months to sell it. And there's going to be a lot of people coming through the house. I'm going to do open houses. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. And some people will say, I don't want anybody in my house. Perfect. This could be a deal. Some people say, I don't have 3 to 6 months to wait. Excellent. This could be a deal. Some people will say, I'm not comfortable with the house the way it is. There's so much wrong with it. I'm embarrassed of selling it to somebody or putting it on the market. So can we sell it off market to an investor? Well, yeah, of course we can. It's going to be at a discount, right? The time frame means it's going to be at a discount. The fact that you don't want me putting it on the market and you don't want other people in here means it's going to have to be sold at a discount. And I'll ask them, is it okay if I buy it at a discount? And I'll tell them, this is what I'm going to do to it. Is it okay if I come in and I put $100,000 into this property and I put in this big down payment of $50,000 and then I go and I sell it for $300,000 and I make my $100,000? Is it okay that I make this money after doing all of this big investment, putting all this risk in? You know what they say every time? Yeah, of course it's okay. Because I'll ask them, are you going to do it? Or, hey, do you have the money sitting around? Do you have the contractor sitting around? Do you have the knowledge and skills to do this?
Craigslist works great.
Yeah, because if you do, I'll list it for you, no problem. If you got the time, you got the money, you got the skills, I will list it. I want you to make as much as you possibly can. We just offer an option that most agents can't offer. We offer that option of, I'll buy it quick, sell it tomorrow, cash, no big deal. Don't have to fix anything, right? That makes sense? Who here wants to get their license now? Where are my investors getting their licenses? Let's get it, right? So before I turn this around to networking, let me talk a little bit about the wholesaling class that we're teaching on Saturdays. Saturday at 10 o'clock is a wholesale mastermind. It's not just me standing there talking. It's a room of wholesalers who are doing this professionally for a living. It's their bread and butter. They sit there and they ask one question. Whatever the hottest question is, they don't know the answer. It's like it's stuck. It's how do I get the money? How do I find this person? How do I get this deal? What's my next step? What's a contract look like? How do I do an assignment clause? How do I transfer the funds? There's so many questions that come up at this table. It blows my mind. And then we allow the room, the rest of the investors who are pros, who do this all the time, to answer. And some of their answers are killer. Things I've never heard of. And sometimes I'm the one answering because I've done it. And it's a powerful event that is becoming stronger and stronger, and people are getting smarter and smarter. And I'm noticing more and more deals are coming out of it. And it's not just because they're figuring things out in the room. It's because it's a camaraderie. It's this little awakening. Has anybody ever been part of a mastermind before? Very nice. Michael, what is some of the returns you've gotten out of those masterminds?
Deals, ideas, everything you said, camaraderie, just even personal stuff. It's just amazing.
It's true. And so masterminds, I find, you find some of your best friends there. You find some of the best deals there. You find some technology, some skill sets, some people who like, they just don't want to do that one thing, but that's your gift. And you don't want to do that one thing, and that's their gift. Within the mastermind, people are crossing currents and they're helping each other out. And it's moving a lot faster. And we're starting to get, me and Ron love it because we're getting some amazing deals. And as a teacher, I'm seeing my students start doing very well. It gets me excited, right? So I'm seeing them start getting closer to making money. People who just didn't have a chance, and then they're working their way through, and it's getting cool. So the other side to it is the accountability piece. Anybody read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill? Yeah. Who here's read Think and Grow Rich? Put your hands up. Come on, that's something to be proud of. Good book. He talks about the mastermind. He says meet twice a week. Do you know why he says twice a week? The world is a cold place. The world is crazy. You've got this great idea. You're leaving this place motivated, jacked up, ready to go do some things. You got a great business plan, right? You're ready to go. You talk about it to one person outside of this room who's not in this room, and suddenly that plan seems like a crazy idea, right? Poking holes all over the place in the plan that this room all agrees makes sense. Anybody been there before? Anybody notice that there's some energy vampires out there? Has anybody noticed that that negative energy is kind of infectious? It's contagious, right? So one of the keys to inoculating yourself is surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you're doing, right? Just that motivation, just that little inspiration, that one idea. All it takes is show up and get one idea out of those mastermind groups. That's the one that skyrockets you, gets you to the next level. Sometimes being the person answering, sometimes being the authority on a subject, you will learn something as you're trying to teach it to somebody else. Your skill increases. You just get better at what you're doing. I learn in the masterminds. As I'm teaching something, I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way as it's coming out of my mouth, right? Because I had to adjust for the person I was speaking to. So the mastermind is a very powerful event. We meet every Saturday in my office in Fall River. It's the Agent Alchemist office. If you look it up, it's 348 East Main Street. Come to the mastermind Saturday 10 a.m. every week, but the sooner you get in, the better your chances of success will be, because at some point I will have to start charging for it. Right now, this is ground level. The guys that are in there, there's about 8 of us. The guys that are in there are hustlers. And girls. The gals, the guys and the gals. The folks, the human beings, right? The investors that are in there with us are in the beginning stages. Once we get to about 15, 20, it's unstable, and we can't get to everybody all at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to charge in the future for people who are coming in later on, but the people who get in early on and the people who are a part of it will not only see success faster, because success breeds success, the activity breeds activity, but you'll also get it for free. Who here likes free shit? Yeah. Can we get some hats? Can we get some free hats for these guys? Come on over. All right, guys, with that said, networking is the key to success. The money is in the room right now. But before I bring the networking opportunity out, Randy, can you come up and talk a little bit about Incognito? I know you want to do a deal here.
Yeah.
And you've got all the numbers figured out.
Yeah, I got a, we'll pass these out after I give you this right now.
All right, so Randy, come up. Give him a round of applause. Randy's looking to buy this building, this business. He's got some information.
You want to just go over it, or?
Yeah. We'll go over with me right now. Talk to me like it. Yeah. She's a pretty face right there.
Oh,
there it
shit.
is. Yeah. All right, give us the deal. What do you got?
All right, so I'd love to add this place to, I'd love to make this place the first restaurant or food business that I put into a group up in Massachusetts. I've worked on a few down in Florida. We're just mainly buying and selling junk pizza places, so I got a lot of experience there with it. Essentially, this is an amazing deal, you know, and I've got a small team put together, accounting, promotion. I got 2 chefs on my board, call them advisors. I don't really where to go with it, but basically, so just looking, basically attracting investors. Whoever's looking to get into a deal, this isn't a fluff or anything. This is a hot deal to do. You got to figure for the price that this thing is selling for is very close to the value of the building. So. It's a secure deal. I mean, it stands up on itself. I've got an amazing team behind me. I'm looking for around $100,000 to fund the deal. I don't know who's the bank is in here. I don't know which way to look, but I'm messing around.
This is the thing. If you guys are interested in investing in business, just find him later. You don't have to raise your hands or anything, right?
Yeah. I'm just kind of off the top right now. But
what I look at when I look at a business is it's making money right now. I know what it's making. I've seen the books. If anybody wants to know what the books are, come talk to me later. Yeah. But I know what it's making right now. It's doing well. I also know that there's opportunity to make more money, right? So that's one of the reasons I brought Randy up here is really for the ideas of what you're going to do.
Yeah,
and one of the problems I had, and Elvis will testify to this, is we didn't have somebody with skill to finish the project. We had people with money. We had people with ideas who want to own a bar but don't want to be a slave to the business.
Exactly.
Anybody want to own a business and not be a slave to it? Yeah. Anybody ever hear that the restaurant business is very
it's 24/7
consuming?
Yeah, you have to be married to it.
That's why I chose somebody who doesn't mind working hard and being stuck in the business.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, what would you do to turn this place around?
Not even turn around. Yeah, you're already floating. You're already going. You can make money day one. But basically, a couple of things that are like really hot right now. Like if you go into Tampa Bay, where I was at for a while, is all these little micro niche businesses. So you have a monster kitchen in the back that's brand new. Literally for $5,000, you can get a couple juice presses and start a bottle juice press business right out the back door. That's day one. You could do that. That costs, like I said, $5,000 for those juice presses. You get them for a few hundred if you wanted to. So that you can scale out wherever you want to go after that. You know, state to state, wherever. I put it in all the markets that I'm in. Another thing that I was doing, I had a cafe in downtown for a while. I came up with a really awesome breakfast sandwich. As silly as it sounds, is you go and take that thing, throw it into a bunch of stores. Again, you have the kitchen, and then you add a chef in there. He comes in 2-3 hours. He preps it all up. I already have the stores lined up. I have at least 5 stores in this area that already gave me the thumbs up on it, the juice and the sandwiches. So like he said, as long as you're married to it and you're here, this place is kicking up. So things like that. I've got a ton of promoters in my team, you know, that would rock it, and you would do weekly events. It's all about you hitting the niches nowadays and really finding those things. And then on top of that, just New Bedford alone with the downtown revitalization. I mean, not even really like exact revitalization, but all the bars and stuff that are opening up down there. They're redoing the avenue. You know, it's not the best zone in New Bedford, but people do come down here. I've popped in. You can ask, you know, the owner here. I've popped in a bunch of times. I've been here before, you know, plenty of times to hang out. This place gets a very unique crowd. You can call, I was here on I think the first day I popped in, the scout was a Thursday, and there was a few couples, all professionally dressed, business owners sitting out, having, you know, came in for some drinks, whatever else. But it's about the people that come in, and this place attracts like she says, a clean crowd, which is very difficult to get in the bar business. And that's why I'm excited about this place, because the clientele, you don't have to go take the name off and then scrub the reputation and stuff like that. This place is just add on top of that, and I think it, you know, that's why I'm so excited about it.
There's breakfast, there's lunch,
so
and there's dinner, which she's not currently offering.
So then, she does right now.
Thursdays, right, and then catering on the weekends.
Yeah.
But if you were to add lunch.
Oh, I mean, we were talking about it. I would go in with with breakfast. She's already doing a banquet style brunch. I've seen the numbers on it. Again, we can talk about them, but it turns over and it turns out. You know, you have the alcohol and then the breakfast. You only have a few places that you would actually go and hang out and sit down that are like the popular destination area to go and have breakfast. You know, you have the Breakfast Club down there, and they're packed. You could scalp off a little bit of that business.
Scalp off all that business.
Yeah,
Come
well,
on.
all right, all of it. All right,
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate you, brother. Guys,
Yeah.
give him a round of applause. It's tough to come up here. It's tough to talk about dreams. Appreciate Randy for coming up here. This is a business. Is it okay if I'm the listing agent selling this business, selling it to you guys right now? I thought so. No big deal. You guys learn something about businesses. You go in, you try to find something that's running good, but then there's opportunity to build it into something else. We don't have to change a footprint when we buy a property. We can just utilize and find different values within it, right? If it's operating great as a bar, well, why don't we add the lunch option, the dinner option, the breakfast option? Just by shifting a couple of things, you get a lot of power out of a unique building or unique business. We do the same thing in our multifamilies. How do we get in? How do we find different ways to turn out more value? Do we add laundry here? Do we shift out, rent some of these Airbnb or rent out the bedrooms differently? There's opportunity within the building that most people don't see. Sometimes we'll turn a building that is residential, commercial to residential because we'll just get more money for it, or we can flip it for more. So there's a lot of ways to evaluate a business and evaluate a building. So what I'll ask you guys as a favor, if you can do me that favor, is if you know anybody who is looking to get into the bar industry, who's looking to own a business building in New Bedford and doesn't want to manage it, have them contact me, shoot me a message, and I'll connect them with Randy. Or if they want to run it themselves, you know somebody who's not like you, who wants to actually be a slave to the business, has a passion for owning a bar or a restaurant, contact me. It makes it a lot easier. I know my boys at Auctions.com got some people they're going to hook me up with. I appreciate it. Thank you. So you guys learned a lot tonight? Mm-hmm. Learned a lot? Some cool stuff? Mm-hmm. It's just beginning. Auctions.com is over here. Talk to them. Randy's in the back. Michael is our attorney. Mike, hands up. There he is. Randy's got the hat. And the gentlemen at Auctions.com are here to give you guys lots of information. Next month is our landlord event. It is September 12th. Be there. This is an opportunity to meet all the landlords that are looking to sell property in Fall River or looking to expand their network. It's the Fall River Landlord event. We run it at Dunny's or we run it at the Eagle. I'll send an email out. As long as I got your contact information, if anybody didn't give it to me, run back there and get it. But the landlord event is a huge opportunity. We're going to talk about the 1031 exchange, which if you own property right now or you're looking to build a good business plan for how to flip and turn it over time, the 1031 exchange is extremely valuable. We have one of the only true professionals in 1031s. This is all he does for income is 1031 exchange. His mom's an attorney, and that's all they do. Is it cool that he's a professional in what he does? He's a specialized person. He's not a jack of all trades. He's going to come out. He's going to present to us. We're also, I'm working on it. So, Jazel, if you're listening, I'm working on getting the mayor of Fall River to come to the event and give us a couple of words about where he sees the direction going of the city, where he sees the value in landlords and the things that, the tools that are available to us, and also some of the opportunities that he sees landlords could step up and improve in the city. Is that okay if I work hard to get him there? Mm-hmm. Would you guys be interested to see him? Yeah. All right, I'll do my best. I also know that city, that housing, Fall River Housing, I'm going to work on getting somebody from them there as well. So if you're currently a landlord, housing wants a relationship with you. They want to know what's going on, and they want to guide you so that your tenants don't have problems. They'll fix the problem for you. Sometimes it's painful for us, right? But if you can build a good relationship with them, they'll tell you if it's right or wrong. They don't mind taking those phone calls. Before you lose a screw and then you go out there and make a mistake, they want you to call them and say, hey, can I do this or not, right? Is that okay if I bring those guys? So September 12th, put on your calendars. It's going to be either at the Eagle in Fall River or it'll be at Dunny's in Fall River, depending on how many people RSVP. We'll choose a larger location. Guys, with that, we are the South Coast Real Estate Investor Group. We appreciate you guys. Keep making money when you have a choice. Always work with the best. Nice.